this Nottoway Plantation burning is worse than we think. Just pay attention.
He had the most in this region, and that's because when he purchased a slave, if the slave had a wife and children, he'd buy the whole family so that they would never be separated. And so that was good for them. And then in the village, he built a cottage for each of those families so they didn't have to share with multiple families and squeeze into one space. So that was good too. They could hunt, they could fish, so they could buy for their own food. And they also built a hospital for them, and there was a doctor who would visit every week. And the doctor trained one of the slaves to be a nurse to take care of them. So from the readings that we have, it sounds like the slaves were treated fairly well as a slave can be treated, considering the conditions. When the war ended, the majority of the slaves stayed here. And we actually have descendants of the slaves who still work here today. Pretty amazing.
So you mean to tell me that slaves were treated well because the people that owned them allowed them to be hunters and fishermen and nurses, and that made it okay? And because they purchased whole families together, that's why they had so many slaves on the plantation. You see how they whitewash history? You're owning human beings and keeping them against their will. It's not like they could just be like, oh, okay, girl, I'm going to come here and work and then I can leave when I'm finished. No, you force these people to live on your plantation. And what she left out was many of them, after there was damage to this plantation, were forced to go to Texas and pick cotton. So when Brock decided to jump in my mentions and make it seem like slavery wasn't as bad, and how many of these other people like to talk about how slavery wasn't as bad and how they treated the slaves well, you are holding people against their will and forcing them to work for you. This is what we're talking about when it comes to the whitewashing of American history, when it comes to the whitewashing of Black American history. Slaves were not treated well. You were enslaved against your will. You could not leave. You were not an indentured servant. And if you tried to run away, you could have your life taken. This is insane. And I hope that the Nottoway Plantation continues to burn.
See, this is the shit that I was talking about with this revisionist history. Same crap that Prager University keeps spewing over here in Florida, trying to pretend that slavery was some kind of internship program. Teach the slaves a trade. And they're going to continue to do this. Continue to whitewash history. But one, they can either feel better about themselves. Two, brainwash our children so that they don't think that slavery ever existed. So three, they can do it again. Or all of the above. That's my answer. So they want to feel better about themselves while indoctrinating our children and then reverting us back to slaves again, making us believe that it was actually a good idea because they erased everything negative about slavery. That sounds about right. And now that I've actually been alive long enough to see how they're changing actual historic events, it's making me question religion as well. They do the same thing with the Bible? Makes you think, huh?